people ask me, what's the secret? I'll say gratitude, perspective, forgiveness, peace, accountability, control, and inspiration. I have a common denominator with all successful people. I must be what I can be. I'm an expanding, accelerating, exponentially growing, compound, interesting person.
Over 1,700 new millionaires are created every single day in the US alone, and more than double that across the globe. They're people from all walks of life, most of them people just like you and I. So the big question is this: how are so many people who didn't inherit money or have any special advantages overcoming the odds and becoming millionaires? That's the question, and this show will give you the answers. My name is Jeff Lerner, and welcome to Millionaire Secrets. Welcome to another episode of Millionaire Secrets. Jeff Lerner, your host. Thrilled to be with you as always. And today I am joined by a man who needs very little introduction in the world of entrepreneurship and business leadership, Mr. David Meltzer. He's a big social influencer. He's also the co-founder of Sports One Marketing and formerly the CEO of the Lee Steinberg Sports and Entertainment Agency. I grew up watching many of their best players play on various fields and courts. So I think that's extremely cool. David, welcome to Millionaire Secrets.
Oh, man, I am so excited to be here, Jeff. This is my kind of show. You're my kind of entrepreneur and podcast. So I'm hoping that we can create awareness to what other people believe to be secrets that I believe to be awareness and common sense of how to be a millionaire.
Yeah, I don't think they really are secrets. I just think that a lot of them are not things that are taught in school. So long as we're relying on school as the primary source of our knowledge, they may stay elusive. But hopefully guys like us are doing the job to change that. And speaking of doing the job, let me make sure I got this right. You're trying to make 1 billion people, maybe not make, you can't make anyone do anything. You're trying to help 1 billion people get happy. Is that right?
A little bit. I'm trying to empower over. Don't limit me.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to sell you short there. I'm not capping you at 1 billion, David.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it. Over 1 billion people to be happy. I find through my journey of being a millionaire, multimillionaire, losing it all, coming back and making it all back, that all that came to my mind was we got to spread this virus called happiness because it strengthens us emotionally, physically, financially, spiritually, mentally, and it strengthens our immune system more important now than ever. And I started realizing about 3 years ago, I've always done free trainings on Friday for over 20 years, always tried to empower other people. But 3 years ago, my 12-year-old, she's now 16, her friend committed suicide, a 12-year-old. And it rocked me, man, because I was like, I get people on drugs. I get people that are depressed. I get middle-aged people that don't want to live anymore. I understand at least how that could actually happen. You know, I want to solve that problem as well. But when I started looking at the numbers of kids that are under 12 years old, you know, in my wildest dreams, I'm like, we got a problem here, and it's one that's easily solved, and it's going to be worse than the pandemic ever could be, because that depression, anxiety, fear has to stop. And so I went on a mission to, instead of just training, sales training, all the practical things that I've learned, I started blending in more faith about being happy and perspective, mindset, heart set, and then still the practical, what I call the conscious continuum of what to think, say, do, believe, and know your personality traits, characteristics, obsessions, and addictions.
Man, I actually didn't know that was the impetus for your mission. I will say, you know, my wife is a big advocate for teens and does a lot of work in that area. And I'm just going to share personally something that absolutely blew my mind that speaks directly to that. This was last week. We got a call from the school, from my daughter's school. My daughter's 11, and somebody had filed an anonymous report with the school that said she was suicidal. And I mean, I know my daughter, like, she's a daddy's girl. Like, we're super tight. I'm like, that ain't right. And I talked to her, and she's like, Dad, you know me. I swear that she's like, but the counselor had even told me, he said, this happens all the time. these kids file these, fraudulent anonymous reports. They're like it's become almost like a way of pranking people. Because they're like,
Wow.
oh, so-and-so is going to commit suicide. Let's try to get him called into the counselor's office. And what it made me realize, and then I was talking to my daughter about it, is how flippant. I mean, I probably wouldn't be talking about this on this episode if I was really worried about my daughter. That's not the issue. The point is the casualness and the flippancy with which that generation approaches the whole subject. It's become this thing. It's like, oh, it's almost like, oh, well, so-and-so dyed their hair. Oh yeah, well, so-and-so committed suicide. Like it's almost like it got a fashionable quality to it. It's so bizarre, man.
It's so bizarre. I will tell you, I'm sitting here listening to you, and just the fact that I wasn't surprised about the story, right?
Yeah.
Bizarre, but that I've been conditioned myself, exploring all these matters of happiness, where it's more shocking to know, for example, that the first girl you ever kissed when you were 13 was a Meltzer, and that I remind you of your first kiss. That's really shocking to me compared to the suicide issue. And I think you nailed it right there. Is the issue is that how do we elevate the awareness about the value of life over the value of escape? And, because people don't kill themselves if they value life. It's just a mathematical equation. They won't go. So I think it's important, and it goes right in line with being a millionaire, is that there's certain 5 daily practices that millionaires do, like the 5 secrets that I'll give up every day. And number 1 is know who you are. You have to take inventory of who you are, not just your values, your personal, experiential, giving and receiving values, but you got to take inventory of your own capabilities, your skills, your knowledge of what and who, and your desire. Every day you got to take that inventory, because once you know who you are, then you can make decisions based off of who you are that day. And then the one caveat I throw in there to help people that do get anxious, frustrated, worried, angry, separated, resentful, guilty is, hey, don't be afraid to be a hypocrite. I think the biggest challenge for people is they're afraid to say that they've learned and grown, that they've experienced exponential growth or acceleration or compound interest in their life. And I find it all the time, as you said, being a middle-aged mutant influencer, one of the few out there over 50, it's fun to see my high school buddies that are like, trolls going, dude, you're so full of shit. And I say to myself, you're right, because I'm a hypocrite. Because I have grown and changed since I was 18 years old, and I did all the effed up stuff that we did when we were 18 years old. And I have learned from those things that I did. I've forgiven myself, and maybe you should too, because you're 52 now, and it's time maybe to move on. But I think it's important because we take and worry about 3 things that stop us from being millionaires. 1, our employment status. We think that our title, our employment status, is the key to being a millionaire. Other people will respect me because I'm the CEO of nothing. And then 2 would be the G, what you got, right? People, what they do is they destroy their chances of being a millionaire because they're buying things they don't need. They're buying different things they don't need. They buy things to impress people they don't even like, right? And just to show what they have. Because, I'd rather, you got to fake it to make it. That's not true. You got to make it, period. And then the O for me is the biggest one. And we are in a society that everyone's seeking approval of what other people think. Your 11-year-old, my 16-year-old, they are far more concerned what other people think of them than they do of themselves. And so that's why taking inventory of your own values and your capabilities every day and not being afraid of being a hypocrite can set you a very firm foundation as a secret to being a millionaire.
Yeah, it's interesting. You talk about value. You talk about giving other people the valuation power. And when you were talking about people throwing away their life because they don't know what it's worth, I was thinking to myself, there's present value and there's potential value. You find an old sketch in your attic and you're like, well, what is this piece of trash? I'm just cleaning out the attic. But as soon as you see a little Pablo Picasso insignia down in the corner, you're like, oh, whoa, this could be worth something, right? And then you don't throw it away. And so what I was thinking is the tragedy of it is not that, oh, people feel down, they feel worthless. It's you don't throw things away even when they have low value if you think they have potential value. Like, oh, I should go get this appraised. I might find out it's worth something, right? So that means that if people are committing suicide, they're not only, especially young people, they're not only thinking that they feel worthless now, but they're so despondent that they're throwing away life because they don't even think it could be worth something in the future.
You're so right. And there's 3 steps to that process, Jeff, that include, back to being, a millionaire, an entrepreneur, a successful business person. There's 3 steps. One, what we want people to do is say, I'm happy where I'm at, right? I'm at the right place at the perfect time, but I'm happy where I'm at. And then what you're talking about is those people that aren't even happy with where they're at least if they are angling towards something better, right? If they're angling towards it, they can't maybe see a direct path to it, but at least they have some inkling of angling to something better. And what I try to do to overwhelm the situation is to give them faith that they'll end up somewhere better than that. Once they understand that they can't find outside of them what they can find inside of them, and that they have faith will allow them to exceed, like you said, 1 billion people be happy. I'm like, don't limit me. I could go through in every conversation when I'm executive coaching people or helping and say, you're limiting yourself. You can't even see. And I limit myself. My favorite limiting story is, I can imagine, it's probably, I think, my most popular TikTok video, the only one that's in the millions, is I talk about, I can imagine, I'm one of I'm the Toptimist, right? I'm the top of the optimist. My glasses overflow and break because they got so much shit in them. But 25 years ago, if I was with Jeff Bezos, and I can picture this, we're talking as 2 entrepreneurs, I'm a millionaire, he's not, he's raising money, and he's in his garage selling books online. And I have all, since 1992, I'm a multi-millionaire at that time when he's selling books. I'm the one giving him advice. And he's like, Dave, I'm going to be the biggest distributor of all products in the world and the richest man on earth, as he's raising money to sell books online. I would have laughed at him, made fun of him. I would have scoffed at him, and I definitely would have given him my money. And that goes to show you that even the Toptimists of the world, we can't get past what we don't know. We can't get past our own limitations, our own beliefs of what is possible. And if he would have said he would have been a trillionaire someday, I probably would have barfed laughing on him, because I'm like, trillionaires, there's no such thing. No one will ever make $1 trillion. Right. And yet, right, I'm that Toptimist. So you can imagine what someone who things don't go well for, that might be, a pessimist, how difficult it is for them to break through their limitations, to break through the perspective, the mindset, the heart set, and the conscious continuum that they need.
So let's go back then. Let's talk about the roots of Toptimism. I mean, obviously, going back to 1992, you mentioned clearly successful. Were you working with the Steinberg agency at that time?
No, that's when I graduated law school and I took a sales job. My Jewish mom told me the internet was a fad and that I better be an oil and gas litigator. I graduated law school, did really well, had a litigation job, and decided to sell legal research online at the early internet stage in 92. And 9 months out of law school, I was a millionaire. So,
Wow.
Yeah. And, for me, that all started with just, this principle of gratitude. We were broke growing up. I was born in Akron, Ohio. Actually in the same hospital as LeBron James and Steph Curry. So I still think someday I'll be the NBA commissioner. I think it's in like my destiny. Destiny would be a great trivia question, right? Someday. But moreover, my mom worked 2 jobs, 6 kids, packed my dinner in a paper bag. But I was one of the most grateful kids. My mom wouldn't let me come down to eat if I had the wrong mindset. She would say, not with that attitude, go back upstairs, tell me what you're thankful for, and you come back down in a different perspective. That was the ingredient of success. And in fact, when I lost over $100 million in 2006, through 2008, it takes a while to lose that much money. Correct. So it was a 2-year process. People always say, they think it's like one day, right? Oh shit, I'm out of 100 million. No, it took about 2 years. But anyway, I finally filed in 2009 bankruptcy. But I had lost my gratitude. I was, not forgiving or empathetic. I wasn't accountable. I was living below the line in blame, shame, justification. The irony in my life is I made my money with the simple things my mom taught me before I was 5 years old. And I lost my money forgetting the simple things my mom taught me. All the education she sent me through, all the money that I spent, all the time learning, everything stemmed from stuff that I should have just listened to when I was 5 and implemented throughout my entire life. And the funny thing is, my comeback is even bigger, with the podcast, the TV show, the coaching, the speaking, the 4 books, everything. It's so much bigger than it was before. And people ask me, what's the secret? I'll say gratitude, perspective, forgiveness, peace, accountability, control, and inspiration. I have a common denominator with all successful people. I must be what I can be. I'm an expanding, accelerating, exponentially growing, compound, interesting person.
I must be what I can be. I'm not going to forget everything else you've said, but I'm going to say, even if I did and all I remembered was that, I'd be richer today than I was yesterday. I mean, that's amazing. I must be what I can be. If everyone on this earth just did that. Wow.
I'm getting choked up.
And also
I'm getting choked up, man.
You what?
I'm getting choked up just from you saying it. That's
No,
how
I mean,
much it means to me.
Here's the thing, man. The most powerful truths are so simple. So simple. That and when you reference, not overtly, but you reference one of my favorite books, All I Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten.
Yeah.
In your case, from my mom.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, to the same point, the most powerful truths are so simple. In a way, it's so funny. Guys like you and me, we spout literally millions of words trying to cleverly, illuminate and re-angle and reorient people to be able to see this stuff. It's like, it's really just so simple. Isn't it crazy that human beings make it so complicated that it takes us millions of words to try to say like such simple things?
And I think that is an area that you excel in and I'm known for. What's interesting about my life is all the attention that I'm getting now was the attention that I built for other people like Warren Moon and Troy Aikman and Steve Young, the people that you admire, Sebastian Ramirez, Lennox Lewis, all the great heroes that we had. But I tell people all the time, the two things that people tell me have changed their life that they've learned from me are things that I know I didn't make up. And I'll tell you what they are real quick. I tell people to say thank you before they go to bed and when they wake up. And I say it just like that. 0.1 seconds before you go to bed, 0.1 seconds when you wake up. It'll change your life. Do it for 30 straight days. I guarantee it. I get more emails, DMs, messages about thank you so much. You changed my life. I've been saying thank you for 45 days and this happened. And then the other one that's so miraculous, and no matter what anyone, I didn't steal, I did not steal thank you from Gary Vee, although there's a lot of trolls and haters that say that. Right. No, thank you. I learned when I was 3. It was one of the first lessons. And then the second lesson is even more important. And this is the one that I still struggle with at 52. And it's so simple. When I was 3 years old, if I wanted something, my mom would say, ask for what you want. Just ask for what you want. And what happens is everybody on earth is trying to take what they want. And they think that's the way they get it. No, your mom had it right. You don't just grab the shit off the table because everything's on the table. Ask for what you want on the table because that's what the universe is. You are living between limitlessness and infinity. You're not living in a world of not enough where you're a victim. Why me? There's not enough. Or you're not living in that world I spoke of earlier of just for me, buying things I don't need to impress people I don't like. You're living in an abundant world with everything for everyone. And the thing that we forget beyond gratitude is to simply ask for what you want. One of the key phrases, you talk about not forgetting, you must be what you can be. Don't forget this sentence. Do you know anyone that can help me? I teach more people to say that. Do you know any people in my life? You, everyone else I meet, I may be a Toptimist, but I believe you're a sponsor or a power sponsor of mine. You know someone that can help me, or you yourself can help me and know someone that can help me. And what I am denying both of us is the dose of dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins that make us happy by simply allowing you to help me so I can help you. And the irony of this whole statement is what movie did they make off of Lee Steinberg? Jerry Maguire. Help me help you. Ask for it and say thank you. 2 simple lessons are the secrets of millionaires and the secret to happiness.
So, I mean, first of all, I love the way you speak because every 30 seconds has like 5 hours worth of stuff to unpack. So I'm going to do my best in the time we have. First of all, let's just take a moment, not give them more than they deserve, but the people who would be like, oh, you stole thank you from Gary Vee. Like, is thank you like a proprietary concept? Is that, and by the way, is your response to being reminded to say thank you perhaps by the second person to think of it, hypothetically, to be so ungrateful that instead of saying, hey, thank you for the reminder, you're going to say, oh, no, that's trademarked from Gary Vaynerchuk. Like, people are nuts.
Yeah.
But that's
Well,
just
just think
my,
of the word remind, remember, recollect.
right.
It means come together, right?
Yeah.
And people are separating us over the dumbest shit that's supposed to bring us together.
Yeah, hey, I think you just summed up the whole world right now. The other thing that stands out to me is in the way that you speak, and I want to kind of peel this back a few layers. Like you just, and you do it casually, which speaks to the effort behind it, the amount of practice and repetition and focus. You said, the dose, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. Like you just casually said that. I bet a lot of people didn't even catch that was an acronym. Dose, D-O-S-E. Yeah. And so the amount of times that you've done that, and you've kind of rattled off some fundamentals of your blueprint for how you see the world. This is your optimism is not a happy accident. You can say that it originates in what things you learned that you were 5, but between 5 and I think you said 52, you've clearly done a lot of work to construct a fortress of optimism through very intentional thought and crafting of language and originating of your own twist on ideas and making it feel very personal to you, because it takes a fortress of optimism to withstand a barrage of pessimism, which is AKA the world. And I think if somebody listens to your language, they should hear the intention that's been given to creating a vocabulary of positivity that steers you. And vocabulary is an outward expression of our inner monologue, right? So it's happening up here too. It's not just stuff you say. And I mean, tell me, like, am I reading this right? Like, you've worked damn hard to stay optimistic.
Every day. And I believe there's a principle that one particle of light will overcome a million particles of darkness. Just get into a dark room, a dark closet, and hold a candle up and watch what happens to the particles from that one light. And so building that fortress allows me to liberate others to shine their light, right? And so beyond, if I was going to make a huge impact, I knew it wasn't just going to be to shine my light. It was, and there's a great candle analogy, why I practice so hard. I craft these words when I'm jogging. I'm thinking today, I'll give you an example, a pragmatic example of what you're talking about, Jeff. I was with Dean Graziosi yesterday, who's an unbelievable polished salesman in person and thought leader. And he said to me, Dave, that's why we were talking about haters and trolls or whatever. He said, that's why you don't see any statues of critics. You only see them of crazy, great minds, thought leaders. They don't make statues of critics. So when I was driving, I took that concept that he obviously admitted that somebody else had taught him. He wasn't taking credit for they don't make statues of critics. But in my mind, I'm jogging and carefully creating another weave of that fortress, of that light, of what I came up with was, hey, there's tons of statues about Shakespeare. I don't know one of his critics, and I know there was many, right? So I'm tailoring it to a different thing, and yet it's somebody else's idea. Now, the candle analogy that I want to use is so important. If you're a candle and you're lit, you have a light, you're a Toptimist. Well, if you keep that to yourself, your candle goes down, right? Mm-hmm. The minute I light your candle with my light, my candle doesn't burn down anymore. Right? My candle, that fire is over here. If I keep lighting candles with my candle, I will dissipate, almost dissolve any burn on the actual wax. It'll literally just transfer over the energy onto their candle and not burn me down. And I think that's a perfect analogy of this fortress that I build, why I build it and how I build it, because I want, through the lessons and stories, the artfulness of how I say it and what I say and what people can hear from it, I want it to light their candle. So not only doesn't my candle burn down, I don't get exhausted, tired, interference, corrosion, void, shortages, obstacles, gatekeepers in my life. Moreover, I'm liberating them to do the same. Yeah. And I think you had a beautiful way of explaining that. No one's ever done that before or realized it. And so you are an intuit, total empathetic. You get exactly what I'm doing beyond just the surface of, hey, that's a great lesson. I got to remember, must be what I can be.
Well, I'm 11 years your junior and trying my hardest to do the same thing. I mean, I know the work that I've put in to develop the talk tracks that I can default back to in times of stress and times of chaos, where we're going to default to our basic conditioning. And if you haven't inculcated positive constructs in your mind as deep as all the negativity and trauma that you've experienced in life, then in your moments of stress, you're going to default to the lowest level operating system, which means you got to be shoving the positive as deep as the trauma. And you know, I'm trying to do the same thing. It's a lot of damn work. And I'm, by the way, I'm going to take your candle thing and basically say the only way to preserve your wick is to find another wick to light.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tremendous, man. Well, listen, I know we should have a couple minutes. Many will already know the answer to this, but I'm going to solicit it anyways. How can people go find you online so they can get more of this goodness?
At David Meltzer, dmeltzer.com. But I also give my personal email to everyone. I do free trainings every Friday. I will send for free, pay for shipping, so there's no hidden cost. I will sign the book and send it to you for free. Just please email me, David at dmeltzer. I have exercises, guides, forums. Every one of my trainings for years are featured on Spotify now, Entrepreneur, all the platforms. It's called The Playbook. We got a lot of other celebrities, athletes, entertainers, millionaires, billionaires, entrepreneurs on there as well. But all my trainings are on there. To complement, this is my biggest achievement so far in my mission, is my #1 downloaded podcasts aren't Anna Kournikowicz or Danica Patrick or Ray Lewis or Dan Aykroyd or Cameron Diaz. And you'll find all those great people, trust me. But my favorite thing about my podcast now is my #1 downloaded episodes are my trainings. So people are hungry to be what they must be. And so David at dmeltzer.com. You can always text me 949-298-2905. But please Google David Meltzer if you forget all this. David Meltzer. You'll find me. I'm here to be of service and of help. And Jeff, we got to do this again.
Yeah, this has been wonderful. And obviously we're going to drop those links and those calls to action in the descriptions on the podcast platforms and on YouTube. Yeah, David, this has been wonderful. I enjoyed so much being on on one of your trainings a couple weeks ago, and it's been so awesome having you here on Millionaire Secrets. Really thank you for your time, and I hope this is the first of multiple conversations here on the show.
Absolutely. One last piece of advice for everyone. Be kind to your future self and do good deeds. No matter how low you are, anxious, frustrated, angry, go do a good deed. I promise you'll feel better. I get choked up thinking about it.
So true, man. You're never too far down to do something for someone else.
Never.
Anyway, great note to end on. Thank you, David.
Thank you. Take care, brother.
Thank you for watching Millionaire Secrets. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and leave us a comment below. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you know whenever we release a new episode. Also, if you want to learn the fastest way to become a millionaire in the new economy, click the link in the description below to claim your free copy of my book, The Millionaire Shortcut. And don't forget, Millionaire Secrets is available on all the major podcast platforms as well. Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you can listen on the go. Thanks for watching.